respected teachers, Professor Mursalin sir, Dr. Abdul Rahim sir, Dr. Asif Khan sir, and all interested colleagues. I am going here to present a topic from approximation theory. My topic of presentation is approximation operators and some approximating functions. Now the first question is, what do we mean by approximation? So basically, key idea behind approximation is replacing something complicated by simpler one, which is easier to compute and easier to represent. What do we mean by complicated object? So complicated refers to those phenomena that is mathematically okay, but practically it is not easy to handle. For example, from school mathematics, we have known about pi. So pi, basically what we used to do, we write pi is equal to 22 by 7. Is it okay? But is pi is equal to 22 by 7? But this is not okay because pi is a rational number and 22 by 7 is a rational number. Because irrational number are those numbers which are non-terminating and non-recurring. For example, this is the in this image you can see the decimal expansion of pi. So the decimal expansion of pi is never going to vanish. It is never going to end. So question is, for example, in computer, can computer use pi? Because we and human and computer have some limitation also. Computer cannot use pi, accurate value of pi, but it calculates some approximation. So computer calculate value of pi up to some trillion of digit. I mean, trillion means 10 to power 12. So it can calculate value of pi up to 10 to power 12 or 2 into 10 to power 12, 2 trillion or 3 trillion or 4 trillion, but it is finite, but it has limitation. So computer can deal with finite number of digits. So this means computer use approximation of pi. So this means that computer can use a rational number. I mean, those numbers which are terminating and their decimal expansion are finite. So this means that rational number are simpler for the computers in comparison to irrational number. So for example, we want to represent this some vector in Rn in computer. For example, if I take this vector x is equal to pi e minus pi and pi square. Is it representable in computer? But computer cannot exactly represent this vector. So what the computer do? It can it uses some approximation of pi up to some digit, maybe 2 trillion, 3 trillion. That depend on the accuracy. So pi is basically approximated by some q1, where q1 is some rational number, and is approximated by some q2. Similarly, minus pi approximated by q3, and pi square is approximated by q4. So this is the vector, which is the approximation of this vector x, which the computer use. So this means that for real life problem also we need approximation. So now question is why it is happening? Because if we see mathematically the set q, q denote for set of rational number, it is dense in R. It is dense in R means that if you draw a real line, then you can find rational number everywhere on a real line. So what it means, if you pick up any irrational number on real line, then you can find some rational number arbitrarily close to that irrational number. But it's mean that, for example, if you pick any x on real line, 1 minute. If you pick up any x on real line, x is any arbitrary number. It is any real number. So question is, can we find some approximation of pi? So for any given epsilon positive, epsilon may be however smaller, it may be any positive number, no matter. So if you pick up any real number x, so we can find some rational number pi such that mod of x minus y is less than epsilon. If you solve this inequality, you will find x minus epsilon is less than y is less than x plus epsilon. This means that y belongs to this interval x minus epsilon and x plus epsilon. It means that if you pick up any real number x and if you make any neighborhood, that neighborhood may be small or bigger, you can find always a real number, a rational number y which is close to x, which is close to x. For example, someone says that I will work with epsilon is equal to 10 to power minus 150. Then again, you can find some rational number q1 which is close to x. How much close? That depend on your accuracy. How much accuracy you want. For example, you want accuracy such that it should lie in this range.
Ilyas, better to call that term as tolerance. Tolerance are up to desired error or up to desired accuracy, because you are fixing that epsilon. For the given epsilon, you are choosing q1, which is close to x. Okay, continue.
Yes. This means that you can find some rational number q1 which is close to x, such that difference between these two numbers are less than or equal to this 10 to power minus 150. Again, someone says that I'm not okay with this epsilon. I will take another epsilon. He says that I will take epsilon is equal to 10 to power minus 1000. Then again, you can find some minus q2 is less than 10 to power minus 1000. So depending on the accuracy, we can find different rational approximation to a given real number x. For example, you can pick up, suppose x is equal to pi. So you can find different approximation to pi depending on the accuracy, how much accuracy you want. So now the question is, what this is happening because the set of rational numbers is dense in R. So what is the meaning of dense set? So basically closure of Q is R, that we have already studied in real analysis. So recalling, now we recall the definition of closure. So given any real number x and for any given epsilon positive, there exists a ball, such ball center x and radius epsilon, and removing this center from this ball, then intersection with Q is always non-empty. We know that with respect to usual metric or real line, this ball is nothing but open interval x minus epsilon and x plus epsilon. So this means that if you remove this point x from this interval x minus epsilon and x plus epsilon, then intersection with Q is non-empty. This means that there exists some y which is a rational number as well as lies in this interval x minus epsilon and x plus epsilon. This is different from x, which is different from x. So this is the mean of closure. So closure means that if some set A, let me write, some set A in R is closed, sorry, so A closure is equal to R, A closure is equal to R. If for every x belong to R and for every neighborhood, I mean for every epsilon positive, x minus epsilon and x plus epsilon minus x intersection with A is non-empty. Intersection A is non-empty. Means that if you make the neighborhood of x, say this neighborhood x minus epsilon and x plus epsilon, if this subset A is dense in R, if you pick up any real number x, then if you make the neighborhood of x, then you can find some by in A, such that by lies in neighborhood x minus epsilon and x plus epsilon. Means that for any given real number x, they can find some rational number by such that by is arbitrarily close to x. So is it okay, sir? Now we
yes, continue.
Okay. So now we come on the space LPN. So LPN basically is a sequence space. So it contains all sequence xn and running from 1 to infinity, such that the sum of the series summation n running from 1 to infinity mod of xn p is finite. Let p belong to this interval 1 to infinity. You can choose any p. By for instance, you can fix 1p from this interval. So LPN basically it is a vector space. So if I define some norm on this space, I am calling this norm by norm p. So it is defining by summation n running from 1 to infinity mod of xn p raised to power 1 upon p. So one can see that this x with respect to this norm p is a normed space. But again, there is a problem because D and computer can deal with finite collection only. But the sequence, as every sequence has infinite terms. I mean, if you write a sequence, x is equal to, suppose this is of the type x1, x2, x3, and so on. Again, we have limitation. So what can I do? Now question is, can we approximate this x by some finite collection or a finite sequence? So now this means that can we find some subspace or subset which is simpler, I mean finite collection, such that element of LPN is approximated. Again, answer is yes. So I take this set A is equal to xk, collection of all sequence xk, k running from 1 to infinity, such that finite xk are non-zero. Finite xk are non-zero. One can see that A is a subspace of LPN. A is a subspace of LPN. So typical element may be of the type, suppose x1 is equal to, I take 1, 2, 3, 0, 5, then after this fourth term, all terms are zero. And x2 I can take 3, 9.5, 10, 5, 7, 8, 1, 0, 1, and after that all terms are 0. So a typical element of A is of the form x1, x2, xn, and after that all terms are 0. So one can notice A is a subspace of LPN. Again, LPN is a normed space, so I can define norm on its subspace also. And then norm is given by, if I take some x belong to A, so x is of the type x1, x2, xn, and after that all terms are 0. So if I take the norm, so norm xp is equal to, this will be, because all terms are 0 after n, so this norm will be summation k running from 1 to n mod of xk power t and whole power 1 upon t. Problem, because one can see that here no convergence issues is there. If I take some element from A, and that is a sequence, then that sequence is, if I take the series this, because there is no convergence issues here. But in LPN, we can find some convergence issues. So basically, there is a, because practically it is not possible always to see convergence or this thing. So what kind element, so what I can do, I can approximate element of LPN by the sub element of A, where A contains all the sequence of all the such types, such that all it has finite non-zero entries. After that, all terms are 0. So one can see A is dense in R, means A closure is equal to LPN for all P. You can choose any P. So A is dense in LPN. This means that for every given epsilon positive and for any x sequence x from LPN, you can find some sequence by in set subspace A such that norm of x minus y is less than epsilon. Basically, norm is defined by this. Summation n running from 1 to infinity mod of xn minus by n power p whole power 1 upon p less than epsilon. So if you remember, we call the space A by C00 because this is the standard notation for the subspace C00. So one can, we have already seen the C00 is a subspace of LPN and LPN is a subspace of C0. C0 is the sequence space. It contains all sequence which converges to 0. Again, C0 is a subspace of C. C contains all sequences which are convergent, and C is a subset of L infinity L. L infinity contains all those sequences which are bounded. So this is a relation between these sequence space. So what we are doing actually, we are doing, given any normed space, X, and A be a some subspace of X. So we are approximating element of X. Suppose F is any arbitrary element of X. We are approximating F by some element of A. Suppose I choose this A star. So I am approximating element of X by some element of A star. Now I come on another example. This space LPR. So capital LPR. So it contains all functions from R to R such that this integration minus infinity to infinity mod of fx p dx is finite. So this is also a vector space. And I can define norm on this space also. If I take some function f from LPR, then if I can define norm ft is equal to integration minus infinity to infinity mod of fx p dx whole raised to power 1 upon p. So this is a normed space with respect to this norm p. If I take p is equal to 1, so I will get norm f1 is equal to minus infinity to infinity mod fx dx. So this space is very typical because we are integrating on real line minus infinity to infinity. So but we have limitation again because computer and we can deal with finite intervals only. So it is
here finite interval means bounded length intervals.
Now question is, can be approximated?
Yes, Ilyas. What do you mean by finite interval here? Yes, basically this one is for bounded length.
Sir.
Okay. Because
yes, sir. Finite intervals means here which has a finite length.
Okay. Continue.
Okay. So one can see, suppose I have drawn this graph. See graph this graph, because L1R, I am talking first about L1R. So it contains all function with whose integration of mod fx on real line is finite. So if I take this function, when x tending to plus infinity and x tending to minus infinity, this function goes to 0. And suppose at this point, it has some discontinuity, and again this point it has some discontinuity, and again this point it has some discontinuity. But this function is integrable because it has finite number of discontinuity. So if a function has finite number of discontinuity, again it is integrable. So question is, can we approximate this function by some simpler one? Because because it's integration on real line, because the length of real line is infinite. So what can I do is, because I can choose some point here, I can choose some point here. What I do, I meet because it is going to 0 when x tending to minus infinity. I can join by this 2 x-axis. So this is a function. Now again here, what I can do, I can join with this here, and I can join with this here. Again this branch I can join with this here, and again x tending to plus infinity, it is going to 0. So I can join with this x-axis again. If I define this function, which is defined on compact interval, suppose I call this A and I call this point B. So I am defining this function on interval AB, which has a finite length B minus A. So idea is, basically we want to approximate the element of L1R or LPR by the element of CCR. Basically CCR denote the space of all continuous function with compact support. Continuous function with compact support. So let us recall first the definition of CCR. So it contains all function from R to R such that there exists a compact set K inside R such that fx is 0 when x belongs to K complement. Means that when x belongs to set K, where K is some compact set, then fx is non-zero, and outside compact set fx is 0. Now see, outside AB, I am seeing this function as a function in CCR. Outside AB, I am assuming 0, and on AB, I am assuming this function. This is a continuous function on AB. So I can approximate this function by this function from class CCR. So what is support of F? So support of F, it is the closure of this set x belong to R such that fx is non-zero, or we can say it is a closure of this set inverse image of R minus 0. For example, if I take this function fx is equal to 1 when x belong to open interval 0, 1, and 0 when x does not belong to open interval 0. So support of F, I have defined as defined all those real numbers such that fx is non-zero. So one can say that it is the open interval where the function takes the value 1, otherwise it is 0. So it is the closure of open interval 0, 1, so which is equal to closed interval 0, 1, which is compact. So this means that the support of function is compact. So hence this function belongs to class CCR. Means that this is a function with compact support. Again, I take another example. Suppose we can take Dirichlet function. Suppose which is 1 when x belongs to rational number and 0 when x belongs to irrational number. The support of F is again this all those real number where function is non-zero. So if you observe at rational number function gives 1, otherwise it is giving 0. So it is equal to set of rational number Q and its closure, which is equal to R. We know that R is not compact. R is not compact. So hence this function does not belong to class CCR. Means that this function has does not have compact support. Does not have compact support. So basically we are approximating the element of LPR or L1R by function in class CCR. So one can observe the closure of this subspace CCR is equal to LPR. So this means that given any function from class LPR and for any epsilon positive, we can find some G from class CCR such that integration minus infinity to infinity mod of power 1 upon p is less than fn. Now, so idea behind this is dense set basically. So now we are recalling the definition of dense set. Suppose A is a subset of metric space XD and we say that A is dense in X if A closure is equal to X, A closure is equal to X. Or for any given epsilon positive and for any X belong to X, there exists some element Y in set A such that distance between X and Y is less than epsilon. Or we can say that Y belong to ball, center X, radius epsilon. So this means that ball with center X and radius epsilon intersection with A is non-empty. So if you see this picture X, suppose this is a space X and A is some subset of X. And we say that A is dense in X. If you pick up any point X from the space X, and if you make the ball around X, the center X and radius epsilon may be any positive number, then intersection with A is always non-empty. Intersection with A is always non-empty. So for example, you can take epsilon equal to 1 by n, where n belong to set of natural number. So given any x belong to x, you can find sub by n in set A such that difference between x and by n is less than 1 by n. Difference between x and by n is less than 1 by n. I am talking this on real line. So if you are talking in metric space, then you can replace this mod of x minus by n by mod of x minus by n by d of this thing. You can replace d of x comma by n is less than 1 by n, less than 1 by n. So when 1 n tending to infinity, this 1 by n will goes to 0. 1 by n will goes to 0. So finally by n will converge to x. By n will converge to x. So this meaning is that if some set A is dense in x, then you pick up any x, element x from the space x, then you can find some sequence in A which will converge to that point x, which will converge to that point x. For example, this point x. I am assuming A is dense in x, then you pick up any x, then you can find some sequence by 1, by 2 like this, which will converge to x, which will converge to x. So this is the another definition. We can say that we say that A is dense in metric space XD. If for any x belong to x, there exists a sequence by n in set A such that by n will converge to x. By n will converge to x. Now we come on space CAB. Basically, this is the main theorem behind approximation theory, the Weierstrass approximation theorem, which is given by this mathematician Carl Weierstrass in 1885. We can say it is an existence result because it says that given any continuous function on closed interval AB and for any given epsilon positive, you can always find a polynomial P such that norm of f minus P is less than epsilon. Here it is the norm here on this space is subnorm. Subnorm, let me recall how the subnorm is defined. So given f belong to this space CAB, so CAB is this means that f is a function from closed interval AB to R which is continuous, continuous. The norm of f is defined as supremum mod of ft where t belong to closed interval AB, So it is Carl Weierstrass in 1885. He gave this theorem. He says that if f is any continuous function on closed interval AB, then you can find always a polynomial which is close to f, If you solve this inequality, norm of f minus p is less than epsilon. So because the norm here is subnorm, so it is equal to supremum mod of ft minus pt is less than epsilon where t belong to closed interval AB. Once supremum is less than epsilon, this means that this inequality is true for every t between t belong to interval AB. That is mod of ft minus pt is less than epsilon. Again, you can write ft minus epsilon is less than pt is less than ft plus epsilon. If you see that this pt belongs to this ball, center f and radius epsilon. So first recall the definition of ball. How the ball is defined in this space CAB. So see this picture. Suppose see this first picture. This ball center 0 and radius epsilon. Basically 0 is here 0 function. So from 0 to 1. So 0 ball is center 0 and radius epsilon. If I recall this, ball is center 0 and radius epsilon. This is equal to all function in C01 such that norm of f minus 0 subnorm is less than epsilon. So which is equal to f belong to C01 such that because norm is defined as supremum p belong to 0,1 mod of ft is less than epsilon. So if you write again, you can write f belong to C01 such that minus epsilon is less than ft is less than epsilon. This happens for every t in interval 0. So what is the meaning of this? The ball with center 0 and radius epsilon contains all function which lies between these two constant function minus epsilon and minus epsilon and plus epsilon. So see this picture b 0 epsilon. So this is the function y is equal to minus epsilon, and this is the function y is equal to plus epsilon. So ball with center 0 and radius epsilon contains all function which lies between these two band, which lies between this band minus epsilon and plus epsilon. So suppose this is function f which lies between this band. So this f belong to this ball. This f belong to this ball. And again G, you see G is also between this band. So G belong to this ball also. Again this H. So H is again lies between this band. So H belong to this ball also. So ball with center 0 and radius epsilon. Basically, it is a band between minus epsilon to plus epsilon. Again, you can talk about, suppose I take this ball, center F and radius epsilon. So F is defined this, F is this is our F. This is our F. So what can I do? I can draw F minus epsilon. This is this is F plus epsilon, and this is F minus epsilon. So ball with center F and radius epsilon contains all continuous function which lies between two band F minus epsilon and F plus epsilon. So if you see this Weierstrass approximation theorem, it says that if you take any continuous function on closed interval AB, suppose this is closed interval AB, and this is, suppose this is our continuous function. So it says that for any epsilon positive, if you make any band of any, suppose this is F minus epsilon, and this is F plus epsilon. If you choose any band, then you can always find a polynomial. Between this band F minus epsilon, F plus epsilon, which approximate F. So band can be smaller as well as it can be any larger because epsilon is arbitrary here. So if I choose this narrow band, suppose this, then again I can find a polynomial. Which approximate this function F. This is F, which approximate this continuous function F. So it says that given any continuous function F, you can approximate by a polynomial. So it is basically existence result, because it says that given any continuous function, there exists a polynomial, but it does not say how to construct a polynomial. It does not give any idea, but it is, so we can say that it is an existence result. So one can see that, suppose we have studied this approximation by Taylor series expansion, and suppose what another approximation is of the type, suppose this is a function f, this is our function f, and we want to approximate by a tangent. What we can do, we pick up any point on this curve, so we can approximate by a tangent line. We can draw a tangent line here at this point. It is an approximation also at this point, and it is in the neighborhood of this point also. It is an approximation. But problem is that when you goes away from this point, then approximation is not good. You can see the difference between this tangent line and this curve is growing. So in the neighborhood of this point, A, this is a good approximation. But when you move away from A, then approximation is becoming worse. So Taylor, but problem with Taylor series expansion is that it involves derivative. Mean that the function should be differentiable. So you can see in this picture also, in the neighborhood of f x, if you zoom this is the neighborhood of this approximation is good. When you move away this point, then approximation is not good. Approximation is becoming worse. So this is the definition of Taylor series expansion. This says that function should be differentiable at point A. Then we can approximate by this Taylor series expansion. Summation n is equal to 0 to infinity. Derivative of nth derivative of A divided by n factorial x minus A power n. So function should be differentiable with Taylor series expansion. But if you recall the distress approximation theorem, it says that given any continuous function, so that continuous function may not be differentiable. Then again, you can find a polynomial P. But Taylor series expansion says that function should be differentiable. Actually, sir, due to some internet issues, my call cut. So again, I am sharing.
your battery is showing low. Put it on charge.
Okay, sir. Sir, is it screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. So I was talking about approximation by tangent and Taylor series. So we have seen this that locally it is locally it is good approximation by Taylor series, but globally it is not a good approximation. We can say that when you move away the point, the approximation is not good, and in the neighborhood of point, approximation is good. But Weierstrass approximation theorem says that given any continuous function, you can find a polynomial. So that continuous function may not be differentiable. So again, a problem comes how we construct a polynomial such that it approximates a given continuous function on that interval A. So in 1912, it is the Bernstein. Bernstein. So he constructed a polynomial using continuous function. So he constructed a polynomial on closed interval 0, 1. We can also translate this Bernstein polynomial to any arbitrary interval AB. So he constructed a polynomial like this. Suppose f is continuous function on closed interval 0, 1. And we know that if f, because 0, 1 is a compact set, so f is continuous function on closed interval 0, 1. And 0, 1 is compact, so f is uniformly continuous. So he defined the Bernstein polynomial Bn of x is equal to summation k is equal to 0 to n f of k by n nck xk 1 minus x power n minus k. So, but because here we are taking f from AB to R such that f is continuous. So if you see this xk 1 minus xk power n minus k, this is a polynomial of degree n. Again nck, because nck is always some positive number, and f of k by n is some real number. So finally it is a linear combination of these polynomials xk 1 minus x n minus k running from 0 to n. So given any continuous function f from CAB, then BNF, this Bernstein polynomial, is a polynomial. So hence it is also a continuous function. So this is also a continuous function on closed interval AB. So basically we can say that this Bn, we can treat this as an operator also. from space CAB to space CAB such that this given any continuous function, when Bn operate on f, then Bnf is also a continuous function, or we can say it is Bnf is also a polynomial basically, so it is also a continuous function. So this is an operator. One can see that it is basically a linear operator from space CAB to CAB, and I will show in the next slide. This operator is basically a continuous, or we can say it is a bounded operator, because CAB has a norm. We are dealing here with the sup norm. So so this is the polynomial.
Ilyas, just wait. You must tell also the idea behind construction of this Bastine polynomial using probabilistic approach. I mean, basically this one is the expected value, so you must tell it, and you must include the proof of this construction in next lecture. But basically this operator is the expected value of fx using the concept of expectation, because expectation is always greater than equal to probability. So if probability is if expectation is small, then probability has to be small. So using that concept, basically Bastine designed this polynomial. So in some other lecture, you must include its construction, that how he constructed this polynomial. Okay.
Okay, sir, but this time I don't remember.
Okay, okay, no problem. In next lecture, you may include this one, because here some scholars are new to this one. So, okay, you note it down and include in your next lecture. Okay, continue.
So basically, Bastine constructed a polynomial. So he proved that this polynomial approximate a given continuous function. Approximate a given continuous function mean that for every given epsilon positive and given any f from space CAB, there exists a polynomial P from this Bastine polynomial. Sorry, there exists some natural number n, capital N belong to set of natural number n, such that norm of f minus Bnf subnorm is less than epsilon for every n bigger than n. Means that given any continuous function, you can find a sequence of polynomial which converges to that continuous function f, or you can approximate f by the Bastine polynomial. So actually what is happening, if you see the all analysis we have discussed above, basically we are doing this x, we are taking x is normed space, with some norm, and H some subset or subspace. Then given any element x here, and we are approximating x by some simpler one element by from the subset A or subspace A. So now the concept of best approximation comes into play here, because what I will do, if I pick up any x, then I can find some y here from set A, which is at a least distance, So I call it some y star, suppose y star. So and suppose X is normed space and A is subset or subspace of X, and given any X belong to X, we say y star is best approximate to X if distance between X and y star, because I am choosing y star is such that which is at a least distance from X. So distance between X and y star is less than equal to distance between x and y, where y varies over a. Y is any arbitrary element from a. The distance between x and y star is less than equal to d of xy for every y belong to a. So what, or I can see that, again I can write this as d of x comma y star is nothing but infimum of d of x comma y where y belong to a. So if you see that this is the distance, but not. So this is the distance between element x and set A. So my target is to find y star from set A, which is at a least distance. Means that which is at a distance from x such that it is equal to distance between x and set A. So if such y star exists, then we call this y star the best approximate to x. Now I come on lecture notes that I am going to present. So this is my topic, approximating operator and some approximating function. So in this lecture, we are assuming B is a normed space and A be the set of all approximating function or element in a normed linear space B. Basically, A is a subset of B and F is some element from B. If we want to approximate F by some element of A, suppose I call it A star. So we can, for simplicity, we can assume B is equal to space CAB. CAB is collection of all continuous function on closed interval AB, and A is equal to space PAB. So this is the definition of best approximation. I have already told you. Let X be a normed space and Y be a subspace of X, and given any F belong to X, then an element A star from set Y, basically figure I call it Y, and this is X according to definition. So given any F belong to X and this A star belong to Y is called best approximate if A star is at a least distance from F. A star is the least distance from F. This means that because in the normed space, the distance between two elements is defined by like this. The F A star is defined by norm of F minus A star. So distance between F and A star is equal to infimum norm of F minus A, and where A belong to Y. This is equal to distance between F and subspace Y. Suppose I want to take some example. So I'm taking this example. I'm taking the space R2. I'm taking the space X is equal to R2. And I am taking the norm X is equal to X. X is some element of R2, which is equal to ordered pair X1, X2. And norm I am defining by norm of X is equal to mod of X1 plus K mod of X2. So you can call it Taxicab norm, because it this norm induces a Taxicab metric. So now I take point X is equal to 1, 0. So this is a point on real line, as real line, that is x-axis. So this is a point here, 1, 0. And I take set A is equal to y-axis. That is 0, y, where y belong to R. So this is because A is a subspace of R2. That is X. So I want to find the best approximate of this point 1, 0 from this subspace by. So what I will do, this is point 0, 0. If you find the distance between these 2 points, 1, 0 and 0, 0, so distance between 1, 0 and 0, 0. So this will be 1 minus 0 plus mod of 0 minus 0 is equal to 1. So distance between this origin and point 1, 0 is 1. So this is the distance between these 2 points. So I have to find some, first let me calculate distance between this point 1, 0 and this subspace that is y-axis. So distance between 1, 0 and this subspace A. So it is equal to infimum norm of 1, 0 minus because any typical element of A is of the type 0, z, because any point on y-axis is of the type 0, z, where z belongs to R. So I am taking the infimum where this I call this point by, where by varies over A. So if you calculate, this is equal to infimum by varies over by, basically y-axis is equal to 1, z. So it is equal to infimum by belongs to by mod 1 plus mod z. Actually, I have to take the subnorm here because basically I want to show the best approximate to this point 1, 0 exists, and it is not unique. It is basically uncountable set. So I will basically I need to take subnorm. So I'm taking here the subnorm. So this is, I'm not taking this norm. I am taking this norm of x infinity, maximum of mod x1 and mod x2, mod x1 and mod x2. So if you calculate distance between 1, 0 and 0, 0, it will be maximum of 1 minus 0, maximum of 1 minus 0 and 0 minus 0. Again, maximum will be 1. So I am taking here the subnorm. So it will be maximum of infimum and maximum of this mod 1, mod z. So maximum will be either mod 1 if mod z is less than equal to 1. If mod z is less than equal to 1. If mod z is bigger than equal to 1, then this is equal to mod z. But finally we have to take the infimum. So infimum will come 1. Infimum will be 1. So this means that the distance between this point 1, 0 and the subspace by subspace A, that is y-axis, is 1. So I need to find some point from this subspace by such that which is at a distance 1. So one can say that this point 0, 0 is at a distance 1. So 0, 0 is one best approximate to point 1, 0. I can find another best approximate. If I take this point, say minus 1, 0, sorry, 0, minus 1, 0, 1. So if you find between this point 0, 1 and 1 minus 0, this distance between 0, 1 and 1, 0 it will be maximum of mod of 0 minus 1 and 1 minus 0. 1 minus 0. Again, it is equal to 1. So this means that this point 0, 1 again a best approximate to this point 1, 0. If I take another point, say here 0, minus 1. If I find distance between this point 0, minus 1 and 1, 0, again, if you find the distance, so it will be maximum of mod of 0 minus 1 and maximum mod of minus 1, 0. So again, it is equal to 1. So this point is also a best approximate to point 1, 0. If you pick up any point between this between these 2 points 0, minus 1 and 0, 1, so it will be 0, some by, where by lies between minus 1 and 1. So distance between this point 0, by, where by lies between minus 1 to 1. So it will be distance between this point 0, by and 1, 0 is maximum of mod of 0 minus 1 and mod of by minus 0. So because y lies between minus 1 to 1, so again distance is 1. So one can see that this whole portion on y-axis, this is best approximate to point 1, 0. So basically, I want to show that the best approximate may not be unique.
Okay, yes. Just look at the condition on the right. You are getting 1 for mod z less than equal to 1. That is z belonging to
yes, sir.
Clojuntal minus 1 to 1. So z has uncountable choice.
Yes.
Okay. And you can also,
yes,
because this one is infimum. So first of all, you need to you must tell that because since infimum is defined as among all lower bounds, the greatest one is the infimum. So you will get. You can write it range set, and then from there you will get 1. Okay, you have solved correctly, but you can explain here like this because those who are MSc student, they can understand that how you are writing directly 1.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This means that this whole set 0, y, where y lies between minus 1 to 1, this whole set is best approximate to point 1, 0. 1, 0. So in this case, this collection of all best approximate to point 1, 0 is uncountable set. So now I give another example. In this example, the best approximate even does not exist. So if I take x is equal to real line, and y is equal to subset open interval 0, 1. And if I pick up the point x is equal to 3, so I want to find best approximate of point 3 from this subset 0, 1. So what I will do, first I will find the distance between this point 3 and this set 0, 1. So one can see that this distance is 3 minus 1, this distance is 2. The distance between this point 3 and this set 0, 1 is 2. Now question, can we find some element from this open interval such that which is at a 2 distance, which is at a 2 unit distance from this point 3. So if you pick up this point 1, 0, so if you find distance between 1 and 3 is 2, so 1 is the point where the distance from 3 is 2. So this means that 1 can be best approximate. But problem is that 1 does not belong to this interval, open interval 0, 1. So in this case, the best approximate does not exist. So best approximate may or may not exist if we take some certain condition on subspace and some certain condition on norm, that is strictly convex and other condition. So the best approximate may exist and may be unique also. So I am not going in detail. So I am assuming if best approximate exists and unique, then I will talk about this operators, best approximation operators. So given any normed space B, so basically B is a normed space, and A is some subspace or subset of B, and for any F, if there exists a best approximate, unique best approximate, I am assuming unique. So this means that for any function, for an element F in B, if there exists a best approximate in A, then this gives and some function from B to B such that given any F in B, it maps to element XF in A, because this best approximate is unique. So I can define some function X from B to B, which maps F to its best approximate XF. So this is the best approximation operator. It is defined when best approximate exists and unique. So this is a theorem. Now I am going to prove. If I take A to be a compact set and assume that the best approximate exists and unique, then this operator is continuous. This operator is continuous. So the theorem is let A be a compact set in a metric space B such that for every F belong to B, there is only a one best approximation in A. Say XF, then the best approximation operator X is continuous. So I am going to prove this theorem. So suppose X is not continuous. So I am going to prove it by a contradiction. Suppose X is not continuous. This means that because we know that sequential criteria of continuity, that if X is some function from B to B, and we say that X is continuous if for every F in B and for any sequence Fn converges to B, then I need to show X of Fn will converge to XF, So this is a sequential criteria of continuity. Sequential criteria. But I am assuming X is not continuous. So this means that there exists some sequence in B. I call it Fi, where I belong to natural number n. Fi which converges to F in B, but XFi, its image, the sequence of this image. Again, it is a sequence. It does not converge to XF in A. It does not converge to XF in A. But we are assuming A is a compact set. So A is a limit point compact. Basically, it is a characterization of compact set. There are other characterization. If A is compact, then compact implies if and only if A is complete and totally bounded. Complete and totally bounded, and A is sequentially compact. And if and only if A is limit point compact. So these all conditions are equivalent in a metric space. So what is the meaning of limit point compact? This means that every infinite set in A has a limit point in A. This means that this set XFI, I belong to set of natural number, has a limit point in A. I call it A star. But XF is not equal to A star. Now I claim that this A star is also a best approximation to F. So what I will do, because already I have told that F has a best approximate XF. I will show that distance between A star and F is less than or equal to distance between XF and F. Because XF is a best approximate. So XF is at a least distance from F. And I find some point A star in A, which is at a least distance from this XF also. So A star is also best approximate. But I am assuming the best approximate is unique. So I will get a contradiction. So I'm going to prove that A star also best approximate if I am assuming X is not continuous. So see this equation 1. So here I am using triangle inequality. Distance between A star and F is less than equal to distance between A star and XFI. This is the intermediate point I have induced. XFI, distance between XFI and FI plus distance between FI and F. I can write this by triangle inequality. Now, by definition of XFI, since XFI is a best approximate to FI, so I can write it as infimum D of Z comma FI, where Z belong to A, because XFI is at least distance from FI, or this is less than equal to distance between Z comma FI for every Z belong to A. For every Z belong to A. So since F has the best approximate except in A, so XF belong to A. So in particular, I can put Z is equal to XF here. So distance between XFI and FI is less than equal to distance between XF and FI. Again, I use triangle inequality. I am writing it distance between XF F plus distance between F and FI. Since I am assuming A star is a limit point, A star is a limit point of this set XFI. So I will use some epsilon definition of limit point. So recall this definition. Suppose X is some H is a subset of X, H is a subset of X, and given I call it X belong to X, this is X, is a limit point of this set A. If for each epsilon positive, there exists a point Y in A which is different from X, such that distance between X and Y is less than epsilon. Distance between X and Y is less than epsilon. Point of set XFI where I belong to set of natural number. So I can find some integer I such that distance between A star and XFI is less than epsilon by 3. Again, since Fi converges to F, so distance between F and Fi, I can make it is less than equal to 1 by 3 epsilon. 1 by 3 epsilon. And now see equation number 1. Distance between A star and XFI, I can write is less than equal to 1 by 3 epsilon from here. So it is less than equal to 1 by 3 epsilon. And distance between XFI and FI, I can use this inequality here. So this is less than equal to distance between XF and F plus distance between F and FI. So here again, see distance between Fi and F, since Fi converges to F, so I can make it less than equal to epsilon by 3. So this is less than equal to epsilon by 3. Again, because distance between F and Fi is less than epsilon by 3, so this term is less than epsilon by 3. So finally we have this 1 by 3 epsilon plus 1 by 3 epsilon plus 1 by 3 epsilon plus distance between XF and F. So distance between A star and F is less than equal to epsilon plus distance between XF and F. Since epsilon is any arbitrary positive number, so we can choose epsilon to be very small. So we can write finally this is distance between A star and F is less than equal to distance between XF and F. Since XF is the best approximate to F, so this means that XF is at least distance from F. But it says that the distance between A star and F is less than equal to this. So this is that A star is at least a distance from F than XF. So A star is also best approximate to F. A star is also best approximate to F. But we are assuming this best approximate is unique. But we get another best approximate. So this is a contradiction. So it shows that, so what we are assuming, it is wrong. we are assuming x is not continuous, so our assumption is wrong. So this means that this operator x is continuous. So finally, the theorem concludes that if A is a compact set, and if the best approximate exists and unique, then this operator, the best approximate operator, is continuous. Again, another theorem. If A is any finite dimensional subspace in a normed space B, if for every f belong to B, there is unique best approximate in A, then operator x, again the best approximate operator, is continuous. In this case, what we are doing, A is some normed space, sorry, B is some normed space, and A is some subset, sorry, subspace. A is some subspace which is finite dimensional. And I am assuming best approximate exists and unique. Suppose f has a best approximate xf in A. The best approximate exists and unique, then this operator x from B to B defined by f goes to xf is continuous. So I am not going to prove this theorem. So I will use this theorem in next topic. Now we come on definition of projection operator. So the operator x from normed space B to B is projection if x of xf is equal to xf for every f belong to B. So the sufficient condition for x to be a projection, it is the equation x is equal to A. So how it is basically x is normed space, sorry, B is a normed space, and A is some subset or subspace of x. Then if I prove that if x is equal to A for every A belong to A, then x is again a projection operator. What I will do? I will pick up any f in B. So I have to prove x of xf is equal to xf. Yeah. So basically xf is the element from basically if I assuming x is a best approximate operator, then this xf element belongs to A. Since x is equal to A for every A belong to A, so finally we have x of xf is equal to xf. So this is the sufficient condition to show that the x is a projection operator. Now we come on an example, the Bernstein operator. I will show that the Bernstein operator is not a projection operator. So Bernstein operator is defined by this equation. Bn fx is equal to summation nck x k 1 minus x and minus k f of k by n. So I will show that this operator is not a projection operator. So what I will do, I will show that I will find some f such that Bn of Bnf is not equal to Bnf. So in this case, our B is C01 and A is a subspace that is P01, space of polynomial on interval 0. If I take this function x square, so if I calculate its expression, it is equal to 1 minus 1 by n x square plus x by n. Again, I operate Bn because Bernstein operator is a linear operator. So again, I can it is equal to 1 minus 1 by n Bn x square plus k 1 by n Bn x. We have already expression of Bn x square. So it is equal to 1 minus 1 by n x square plus x by n. So again, I put expression here plus kx by n. So if I calculate finally, so this expression is not equal to v n x square. So it shows that the Boolean operator is not a projection operator. Now we come on the definition of bounded linear operator. So D is normed space. It has some norm. So a linear operator x from B to B is said to be bounded if there exists some real number k bigger than 0, k is strictly bigger than 0, such that this condition 1 is satisfied. That is norm of x is less than equal to k9 norm of x, k time norm of x. If such number k exists, then we say that x is bounded. The smallest real number k bigger than 0 if exists, and this inequality 1 is satisfied if that smallest real number k is called norm of x. So I will show that this Boolean operator is a bounded operator from space C01 to space C01. So I calculate the mod of b and fx. So it is equal to summation k is equal to 0 to n and ck xk 1 minus x power n minus k f of k by n. So I can send mod inside, then the inequality will come less than equal to summation n ck xk 1 minus x n minus k mod of f of k by n. If you see this is always non-negative. This is always bigger than equal to 0 for every x belong to interval, close interval 0, 1. So basically you take mod or does not take mod, it does not affect. So finally we have mod of f of k by n. Basically k by n and k running from 0 to n. 0 is less than k is less than equal to 1. So you divided by n, you will get 0 by n is less than equal to k by n is less than equal to n by n. Finally, this point 0 k by n will lies between this interval 0, 1. So we are calculating value of f at this point k by n, and we are taking the mod absolute value. So finally, it has to be less than supremum value of f on close interval 0, 1. So finally, it is less than equal to norm f infinity, because norm f infinity, this is the supremum of mod of fx where x belongs to interval 0. So if you see this terms, so this is the expansion of 1. It's binomial expansion of, you can write x plus 1 minus x power n. So this is a binomial expansion of 1. So this quantity, this whole expression is 1. So we get mod of b and fx is less than equal to norm f infinity. So if you take the supremum, we will get norm b and f is less than equal to norm f infinity. So it shows that, so because here in this case we get k is equal to 1. So this it shows that this bn, the Boolean operator from space C01 to C01, which C01, which maps any continuous function f on closure interval 0, 1 to the Boolean polynomial b and f. So this operator bn is bounded. We know that any bounded operator in normed space, defined on normed space, bounded operator is also a continuous. So we can say that this Boolean operator is a continuous operator from space C01 to C01. If I take the f constant function f is equal to 1, then I will get b and f is equal to 1. Why? Because if you put f is equal to 1 here, so this whole quantity will be 1. So again, this is a binomial expansion of 1. So you will get b and f is equal to 1. So finally, we get norm of this Boolean operator is 1. So it shows that the Boolean operator is a bounded operator.
And also,
I give an example.
Just a minute.
Of operator which is not bounded.
Come to the statement of that bounded linear operator. Just scroll it down.
Yes, sir.
Bounded linear operator, the definition which you have written. Bounded linear operator. Scroll this page. Scroll down this page. Am I audible to you? No, bounded linear operator.
The definition of bounded linear operator.
Yes. Now
yes,
look, here I just want to suppose in this case, however, you have taken on both, I mean your domain and codomain, you have taken the same norm, that's okay. But suppose we have the different norm, suppose. So just look at the equation number 1. Norm of xf, a norm of xf is less than equal to k times norm of f. Actually, this has very good application in share PPT again. It's not visible now. Yes, what just I'm trying to visualize this. What we mean by norm of xf less than equal to k times norm of f. Look, if you are choosing from your domain, this f you are choosing from your domain, and norm of f, actually on f you have the norm from your norm present on your domain, and xf is a member of your codomain, and on xf you have the norm present on your codomain. So basically you are see the available tools, because you are in domain, so you have to use those tools. Am I audible to everyone? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What I am trying to say here is that, look, because we have to use those tools which are available, because we are in domain space. So we are trying to estimate the elements of range with the tools available on the domain. So it has various applications, this bounded linear operator, that norm of xf is less than equal to k times norm of a. Basically, we are estimating the tools of range space with the tools present on the domain. So just try to visualize this and scroll it down. Now, what we are doing, see, the function is given to us and we have estimated that norm of BNFX is less than equal to norm of f. Just in case of Bastine polynomial, yes, this last statement. This implies that norm of BNF under sup norm is less than equal to norm of f. So basically we are estimating our function, I mean this BNF operator acting on function. Basically here operator is acting on function spaces. And for f, the domain is x. Basically this is the notation throughout used. BNFX means the Bastine operator is acting on functions. And for function f, the domain is x. Here x belongs to 0, 1. However, one can translate this 0, 1 to AB using isomorphism by defining a linear map and composing with it. So we have estimated the range space BNF acting on this function with the function, this norm available on F, that is in the domain space. However, here both on domain and codomain, we have the same norm. But try to also visualize all these things in this application point of view. Okay, I think we need to stop today's lecture here. And if anyone has any doubt or query, query, you can put your question here. We will continue this part in next, or if you want to add something extra, if some point is not clear, then we may work on it and we will explain it in the next lecture. So do you have anyone? If there is any doubt, tell us, there is no problem. We will try to sort it out. Anyway, लेक्चर कोई बहुत ज्यादा फास्ट तो नहीं था. देखिए हो सकता है बहुत से लोगों को ना अभी नोटेशन नहीं समझ में आया हो, वो 1-2 लेक्चर बाद समझ में आ जाएगा. और ठीक है, तो यहीं पे लेक्चर एंड करते हैं. एंड ऑन 30th वी हैव द नेक्स्ट लेक्चर इन कंटिन्यूएशन टू दिस टॉपिक. Same time and same link we will use. I mean your pass ID and passcode will be same. So you can use the same link and ID and passcode to log in. Okay, thank you. Yes, Dr. Farooq, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to thank you.
Okay. Actually, he's my research scholar. He's trying. So
actually, the idea is very useful and very good. And it will be very helpful to improve the idea of approximation theory. I think at the end of all the sessions, we will have some good ideas and outcomes.
Okay, Dr. Farooq. Thank you very much for your input. Okay, so let us close this, and we will meet again on 30th at the same time. And if I will try to I'm also trying to record this lecture, but sometime due to network problem, there may be some issue. I will also try to share the recorded lecture. Okay, so let me stop it here.